Capitalists, my coach and trusted advisor, Coach Stacey B. Say hi, Coach.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Yeah, so we 4-day weekend. So obviously we got so hopefully um everybody is kind of figuring out through this week. I know these kind of weeks always kind of screw up. Uh Cooper's first week of school was kind of weird. He had 4 days. He had Friday off and then Monday off. So it's kind of like a nice little, almost like a running start here. Here's two 4-day weeks for you to try to get this going. Let's figure it out from there with this new schedule. So it's and again, I apologize, y'all. I'm having so many internet issues at my house. I have no clue what's going on, but anybody with connections with the internet that could maybe help me. I'm almost feeling like I'm bugged, or like someone's trying to shut me up over here. So maybe that's my conspiracy ideas. Coach, how was your weekend? How was your weekend?
It was good. It was busy. My Charlotte with them, and spent some time before that with some family. My brother has been a little under the weather, so I spent some time with my parents and with him. So it was a lot of family time. So it was good.
Ah, that's awesome. Yeah, I did see the pictures. Congrats. She's a cutie. So super excited to and have our next guest. And really, we wanted to, like me and Coach had shared with everyone, wanted to kind of just get revamped on our mission. Our mission here with Robinhood Capitalists is to help 10,000 families create their heaven on earth. And again, what I believe heaven on earth is doing what you love with who you love. And it's and that's really, and then just having that financial harmony, whatever that number might be. We don't all have to be billionaires or zillionaires, just enough to really live the life that we want to live. And so that's our goal here. So our next guest, Patrick Michael Donohue, been with Franchise for over 11 years. He makes that dream come true for a lot of people. That's what he does as a business, as a franchise broker, which he'll get into. We'll get into that. And again, Coach, I know you love franchise brokers, and I love to hear that because I think they are so crucial. Again, just like we had with our one of our previous guests, David Koch from assisted family located. It's just an extra tool that's there, and a franchise broker is there to help you really understand, especially for somebody getting into business, what they don't know. And getting into business always sounds really exciting, and I've made a lot of stupid decisions and ideas and kind of jumped through, and I wish I would have had a business broker or a franchise broker to tell me, hey, don't, well, why are you doing that? That's a stupid idea. But and that's so I love that the coach, you really seen the value of business brokers. But so after talking with Patrick Michael and getting to know him better, it was like, man, this guy is, no wonder he does. He's so well known and does what he does. And so we'll have him. We'll bring him out here after we get started. But Coach, I want to tell you, we even ran it through the coach test, y'all. So Coach knows everyone with his background and his who he's worked with and stuff. He knows a lot of people. So he was like, hey, one of my close connections over at Franchise is a little bit higher up over at Franchise. I don't know if I lost him. Coach, you there?
So I
Lost
cut the
his
video
camera.
off. I was having trouble with the stream. I wasn't.
So I don't know what happened to him, but we're gonna bring Patrick out. But well, hopefully we'll get that figured out. But as I was saying, ran it through the test. Coach was like, "Yeah, I know somebody high up there. Let me run it. Let me run his name past him." And he was like, "Oh yeah, definitely have Patrick on. He's the guy you want to talk to." So again, can't wait to have him come out. Thank you guys all for the comments and shares. We get to those here shortly.
You get one heartbeat song. Take it seriously. This is your masterpiece. Don't forget to dream and taste the colors in the air you breathe. It's your masterpiece. Go ahead
Patrick, I see we lost Coach, so I don't know if he was having some issues over there as well, but we got you. Are you good? Am I
I'm
coming
good,
through
man.
good?
Let's go.
All right, let's do this. So, man, thank you for finally joining us and making this happen. I want to get right into it. So, uh, you've been with Franchise over 11 years. Coach ran one of his close friends over there at Franchise, gave your name, and they were like, yes, you have to talk to him. Definitely have him on your show. So you got resounding, obviously, applause for what you do. But can you share with everybody in the audience? Again, our audience, we're trying to help people. If you'd seen the intro, our mission is to help 10,000 families create their heaven on earth. And after we got to speak a little bit, I know you're a deeper guy like me. I know you're not just trying to sell somebody a franchise, but you're really trying to pair them with the right fit for their next move in this game of life. And so I know that was one of the reasons I was super excited to really have you on. Share with everybody, what you do there, what your mission is, and just what drives you.
Yeah, I'm a two-time cancer survivor who wakes up every day a little happier than the average person to be here. I feel like if I can shine my light into someone else's journey, help them find a business, a new career, become a poet, a preacher, it really doesn't matter to me. It's really about, what's your why and what do you want it to look like 10 years from now and how do we get you there? And it's always a privilege to be on someone's journey. I appreciate you inviting me into your show and your audience because I feel really blessed every time someone says, hey, could you help me get to where I want to go?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, isn't that in the end, Patrick? Isn't that what the game of life is really about?
Every philosopher, every organized religion says the same thing, man. Just go help other people and you'll have quite a legacy. So I don't know what else we're here on earth to do except help each other out, man.
Ah, amen. Amen. And with that, Coach keeps popping in and out, so he's still kind of having issues. But I almost pulled him in, but yeah, I agree. That's exactly what we're here for, and you said it perfectly. So with with our audience, again, we have some people out there, current business owners. Maybe they started their own thing. They're trying to work through the process of it all, the journey, or there's a franchise, and again, you're with franchise, so you do help people with franchises, but like you said, you're trying to really line them up, whether it's to be a poet, and I feel the same way. Like if we could talk, and maybe a business, or maybe some business is not even your direction, maybe it is art. Shout out to have a few people in our group, but they ended up going from the business world to art, and turning art into, which was a passion of theirs, into a business. And that's really, I think, what you're kind of saying, and that's our mission here. And that's where I thought we really lined up well, was you're trying to really more find what somebody's passion is, or purpose, and kind of align it in the journey to take them to kind of that happier place. Fair, I guess. Is that a good way to say it, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, listen, a lot of us are told a lot of things growing up, right? We're told to get a good education, we're told to go to college, told to get a good job, on and on and on, right? And a lot of those things really add value to people's lives. But sometimes I think we need to repack our lunchbox. We need to feast on new information. We need to turn over some rocks. We need to have some mental dexterity to say, who's taken another path that we could follow, that we could learn for, that we could strive for. You don't have to recreate the wheel. There's someone else who's probably done something you want to do, but how do we find them? We find them by just connecting, and the internet's such a great place to find people who are doing all kinds of things, or someone knows someone, or, oh, that light bulb went off. You got to meet Joe. You got to meet Bob. You got to meet Steve. You got to meet Susie. You got to meet Julie. And we're really blessed to have that connectivity and collaboration. The one thing that drove me nuts about being in corporate America, and I was in corporate America for half my career and now independent for half, was just the competitive nature of tearing at each other versus collaborating with each other. So I'm really lucky that, you guys and your audience want to collaborate, want to share ideas and best practices, because that's where it's at, man.
You see what I'm talking about, Coach? I mean, it lines up perfect. That's exactly, Patrick. For everybody who watches this, whether you're watching this now or after, it's literally the concept of what world do you want to live in? And I don't think corporate America has to be that way, although leadership unfortunately seems to twist it that way. But I think with the right leadership, it cannot be Crab Island. And I like to call the world Crab Island, where we're either pulling each other down or we're actually collaborating and helping each other. And I think there's enough business, there's enough people, there's enough audience around that we can all collaborate, and together we can make something so much more powerful than by ourselves anyway. So why would we want to do it alone?
Yeah, for sure.
Like you said, and again, I think the game of life, it's just about community. It's about our own little communities, whether it's work communities, whether it's and I think Simon Sinek talks a lot about that. But it's about just having those little communities of people, your home, that you feel safe in, that your mentors, your coaches. And that's again coach he's coached for over 20 years in a very successful, amazing franchise, and worked with a lot of other people, but still has his own coaches. Why do you have coaches, Coach?
Well, I think, and just to make sure, because my internet did completely die right as we were going on. And so can you hear me?
You're perfect. You're good.
Okay, awesome. And sorry about that.
No worries.
But I'm glad the phone lets me get back in. But yeah, no, I think everybody needs a coach, and so I have. As a matter of fact, as soon as we're done here, I'll meet with one of my coaches. He's a mentor on the coaching business side of things. He particularly helps me with mindset, making sure that I keep my headspace where it needs to be to be successful in my business. Through a couple of different organizations where I've got mentors. I've got a speaker coach. I've got coaches that help with coaching, that sort of thing. So a lot of times it's just helping specialize in the different areas where you need help with your business. So obviously, as a coach, it's a little self-serving to say it, but I think everyone needs a coach, and I think many times we need more than one. But and when I decided to make this jump to starting this business, I went to franchise. Full disclosure here, I went to franchise. My good buddy Andy Banker, who worked with me on my training team for a while, he was a franchisee in Liberty Tax while I was there, and he perfectly guided me to a good place. He asked me the right questions. He did a good profile of what I was looking for, and gave me a lot of different options in different industries. And it was a really good experience for me. And so I guess if I was going to ask a question here, I guess it would be from the franchise consultant side of things. What are some of the things that you look for, and what's kind of that process look like when someone new comes to you?
Well, yeah, thanks for asking. The number one thing I want to know is, why you're doing it. What's your end game? So I break it down that there's 5 levels of business ownership. So Focal Point is an excellent example of a level 1. You're self-employed, right? You're bringing in clients, you're taking care of them and going through the 75 processes. Yeah, everybody thinks coaching is one thing, right? I'm going to help you with sales. No, you guys have 75 different things you help people with, and you have systematic proof that it's worked before. Big companies, middle companies, small companies, right? And then obviously you're managing your finances. So that's the triad of responsibilities in a business. And as a Focal Point coach, you can manage all that yourself. So you have a lot of freedom, right? If you want to work with 10 clients, at one time, great. 5, 2, 3, want to bring other coaches on, a lot of flexibility, but you're, level 1 self-employed, which is amazing. That's very similar to me. Level 2 is when you start to put people in those places in that triad. You have somebody who's, going to be a bookkeeper, and someone who's going to do sales for you, and someone who's going to do operations, and maybe you run that out of your home. Keep it very simple. Level 3 is you're running it out of an office. You're scaling it up. And why that's important, I try to make the distinction between a level 2 and a level 3 is level 2, I start to have equity. I can sell that business. I'm not just making income, right? I'm starting to build wealth opportunities inside my business. Level 3, I might be able to own the real estate. Well, that's pretty cool, right? If I can own the real estate, now I'm building 2 streams of equity plus my income. And oh, by the way, hey, there's some really big tax advantages as a business owner owning real estate that our former president really capitalized on. He had billions of dollars in real estate and made hundreds of millions of dollars. And that allows him some tax advantages, right? Well, why as a small business owner can't you capture all four of those things? So level one, solo entrepreneur like me, I can't really own the real estate in this business because it's just me, right? I have to have some people, I have to have some things in there, right? So thinking about that and asking people those questions. Do you want the freedom and flexibility that I have, that I can work from the beach tomorrow? Actually, yesterday. Or do you want to have a team of people that you can, bring in to take care of a lot of the responsibilities? Do you want to own real estate connected to that? Do you want to have the tax advantages? Level 4, I consider anything that's retail, anything where the customer comes to you. And that's what people think about all the time when they think about franchising, right? They'll say to us, oh, I know a franchise. I know Subway and a Dunkin' Donuts and a this place and a that place, because they've driven by it. So my job is to have them turn over new rocks and say, I know what you saw, but now let's talk about 75 different verticals you can be in besides a retail organization. And so I try to break all those pieces down to get them thinking, where do I want to be in that triangle? How do I want to build my wealth? What do I want my life to look like short-term and long-term?
So once you kind of get an idea of their why, what is your approach like for helping them? Because there's, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of franchises that are out there. So how do you help them narrow that down?
Well, the first thing I tell them is you need to find the right consultant, and I hope I'm the right one for you. I'm really lucky that on LinkedIn, I've got like 160 people who recommend me. I'm like, read those reviews and make sure that I'm a good fit for you, because not every consultant is right for the person. That's step one automatically. And if I am right, we're going to do some work. We're going to figure out, all these things about you. So I do a questionnaire, and I get into the questionnaire with people, as you went through with Andy, I'm sure, to really help him understand where you're positioned and why, and what your end game is. And then build a model to say, all right, I know why you're doing it. I know where you're doing it. I know the kind of money you want to make. I know the kind of investment you want to make. I know the things you want from a franchise company. But hey, you know what, Stacey? I also know what you bring to the table, because Focal Point is very unique, right? They want great partners who will succeed. They don't want you if you don't have the EQ to make this thing happen, because you got to be able to coach someone, inspire somebody. And that's not everybody's strength, right? So I got to know what you do really well to make sure that they want you as well as you want them, because this is not like buying a Toyota. This is coming together and making a decision together that it's a good fit, so everybody wins.
Awesome. And I'll do one more, DJ.
No, yeah,
I could do this forever.
You could. Yeah, go.
So most franchisors will have their own development team. And how does that relationship work between the consultant and the franchisor and their development team?
Yeah. So DJ earlier said I was a broker, which I'm not. A broker is someone who's no, that's okay. But everybody thinks that because I'm in this process, right? But there's the sales side, and then there's the buy side. And so my job is to coach buyers. I don't have a horse in the race, whether you pick Focal Point or you pick whatever. I want to help you find the right business for you and coach to make sure that this is going to work for you. And their job is to present all the materials. So I don't send out any financial information or anything like that. That's their job to really tee all that up. My job is to be on your side of the table, helping you find things that will work for you.
Jump in, DJ, or I'm going to take them all.
No, go. Well, so I'll just go back to the one thing you said was you find out their why. What do you find is what would you say is the top 2 or 3? Is there a top 2 or 3 that is the same common when you ask that, like, why are you looking to get into this, or why are you doing this? Is there
most people are worried about money first. So they want to make sure that they're financially sound, right? If you don't make money, that triangle should point to success, financial success. It's a hobby if you're not making money, right? A business is there to make money.
Yeah.
But the next thing people say most often is control their destiny. And for everybody, that's so different, right? For me, control my destiny was work 20 hours a week, spend more time with my family, my wife, and my community, right? So I felt like controlling my destiny. Again, go back to the, when you have cancer twice, you think like, hey man, you're not going to have every day. Like I only have today. So if I can give less time to what I'm doing financially and more time to my family and make a difference in my family and my community, I win. That's kind of how I look at it. So that's my why. And I use that as an example for everybody. I tell them what my why was and how I put that together and how this fits so well with my why. And then I say to them, give me an idea. If I gave you 3 buckets and 10 single dollar bills, and one was making money and one was having purpose and one was having more time, how would you invest those $10? And so people will say, well, split them evenly, right? I want more time. And I said, no, the reason why there's $10 is you've got to choose something that's
That's
more.
all you got. Yeah.
And then they start thinking, all right, let me be honest, 5 in the money, because right now I've got to be financially sound. My kids are young, right? Okay, that's okay, right? Or, hey, man, I'm really establishing money. I'm a 2 there, but I really want more time because I want to be able to do stuff with my life. Or some people are just so purpose driven. They just want something that impacts their community because they're nurturers and they're givers, and they might emphasize those. But I try to break it into those 3 things. When people say, I want to control my destiny, I'm like, all right, cool. Let's break that out, because there's 3 places you can invest your future.
I love that you really kind of phrase it out that way. I stole that from Matthew McConaughey, but he had kind of given that, and I think he uses it more relationship, spiritual, health, or basically health, wealth, spiritual, and relationships, or something like that. But and you can only, and that's really how people have to. And again, so this is why he's so successful, y'all, with finding the right business for you, or the right future for you, and why working with somebody like Patrick is so powerful, because it's understanding that we have to live life in seasons, and there are those buckets, and that's just the way life works. Like that is just the game of life, and if we could break those down in seasons and say, okay, well, my relationship are great, money's great, but man, I am like 30 pounds overweight. I only went there because I've been there like a billion times.
Yeah.
Money was good, everything else is good. My health was not good. And again, there's a lot of things where those traps are. So I love that you really, that's even those 3 buckets, just to break that down.
And time's the only resource you don't get back, right? So people will say, I'll worry about time later on. I'm like, will you? I mean, when is later? Especially for men, man, we're grinding and then dying. So let's figure this out now so we can enjoy life and take some pressure off, take a little air out of the balloon.
If we just understood, Coach, we'll break this down deeper. So I'll kind of plant this seed right here. But so everybody watching Thursday, we will break this down. But I want to go deep, and I know, Coach, you want to go deep with that. But currency is our most valuable thing we have. That's what everybody needs to understand.
Time is our most valuable currency.
Time is our most valuable currency we have. Like that is like, your energy is your time. Like what you do at every moment is your energy, and you're giving it somewhere. And that's more than money, more than anything else. That's more than that's your time. I love that you said that, Patrick.
And it used to be, my dad worked for IBM and retired, right? And that was the world that he lived in. And I was taught, hey, go get a job and spend your career and get a pension. And I know some policemen, I know some firemen, I know some school teachers who have that, which is great. Some UPS guys who have, but the majority of us don't have that opportunity anymore. And there's a different ownership structure in corporate America that has kind of ignited my fire, because I saw it when I was 35. I was in sales, and I saw that, you can't go to 70 doing this. Like, they're going to run you out. And today I work with people all the time that are getting worn out and asked to compromise something else. Give me more time, make less money, blah, 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 blah. And then on top of it, get insulted. Hey, you're less valuable because you're old. Really? What about all that experience I have?
Yeah.
Right?
What about the knowledge? What about the wisdom? Like, yeah.
And I'm sure Coach Stacey sees it with people all the time, right? I mean, that's some of us, like, breathing life. Like, no, man, you're really valuable for yourself, and you can do this. And let's find the way, and let's use all your skill set. And then you learn new stuff. And then, it's like a rebirth for some people.
Yeah.
Wow, I can do this, or I can do that. I was so limited before in my life, and now I'm learning new things, and I'm aggregating new knowledge, and I'm making new relationships, and I'm helping serve people. And that's the best thing of all, man. It's just saving some people from corporate refugees who've been dismissed.
Yeah. So from my standpoint, I think I'm a successful franchise placement with Focal Point. I love my franchise. I get great support. I like the system. I love having the tools and things we have. But you mentioned time. I think the biggest asset to me for using franchise and partnering with Andy to do this was the time, because I didn't have time to research a half a dozen. And I would have had to research way more than that to narrow it down to a half a dozen really good choices for me in the situation I was in. So for me, again, the time saving and the fact that I felt like I could trust that, okay, he's not going to put me somewhere that's going to be a bad franchise. So I trusted that it was going to be a good process. But you mentioned you've got like 170 or so good success stories. Have you got a success story of a placement that you could share?
Oh man, yeah. Gosh, there's a guy, Dennis in Boston, who bought a budget blinds that was a resale, and it was doing okay. Guy played a lot of golf, and he was making about $100,000, and Dennis turned it into this whirlwind success. He now has 10 vans out. This is his third year in. 10 vans out there, making lots of money, employing lots of people, taking care of lots of clients. And it was really hard because, he came from a world where he was a CTO at a high-tech company making crazy money. And I remember when I showed him the brand, he's kind of said, "Hey man, I don't think you get it. Like, I have a pretty excessive lifestyle for this little franchise company." I said, "No, I know exactly where you're at, and you can get there from here. Like there's a place in level 1 where you and I are, 2, 3, 4, 5 to make good money, provided you know how to maximize the opportunity and build it." And he was able to do that. And now, he's in his third year. He just took 2 weeks off last month and setting new records in his territory for the size of the growth and employing all these people and, putting together. So pretty cool to your point about coaching. In franchising, people can also put together mastermind groups. Like we can get together at Franchise or at Focal Point and put like 5 of us together and say, "Hey, let's coach each other. Let's hold each other accountable. Let's do that." So he started doing that with groups and inspiring other franchisees. It's win-win across the board. Is this guy, Dennis Cho, amazing dude.
Love those stories, and we've got so many people that we communicate with that are looking for what is the next step. And then there's so many changes happening in the economy right now. More people are going to be looking for something, and so I think it's just important that we just get the word out that there's an opportunity for just about everybody out there if you're willing to just get some help and then follow through. That there's something out there, I think, for just about everybody.
Yeah. And there's a lot of pitfalls, right? I didn't answer the question earlier. You had asked, there was 2 parts to a question. So I want to go back to it. You said there's a lot of concepts. There's 4,000 concepts or so, 4,000 plus. I don't know. Half of them are food, and I really don't do a lot of food. The food concepts that I love, they don't need me like Chick-fil-A and McDonald's, right? People know about them, and they have their own growth strategy. But a lot of food concepts, really struggle. And they struggle because they're expensive and their best year might be their first year. And they've got, employees who are transient and they've got a product that can go back. Like there's a million reasons why, right? So when you look at categories, you say, hey, man, you want to pick a category that has a more likelihood of success. So my first criteria is how important is success to you? Going back to how do you pick concepts and get from 4,000 to 3 suggestions, right? And if I know your model and I know, hey, I've seen some really good success with this company, and I know why. One of the big reasons that I think everybody should take away is that there's 2 sides to any franchise company. There's the brand you're in, so Focal Point's a coaching business, and then there's the franchisor you are. That's the systems that are in place that have the 75 modules that you follow, that you use, that you trained on, and they're really good and institutionalizing that. Would you agree, Stacey?
I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, he's written the concept is founded on, what's the gentleman's name?
Brian Tracy.
And he's got, just such a track record that if you can plug into it, it works, right? But if someone else is a coaching business and they don't have A, the Brian Tracy system, or B, the support to get it to you and train you on it and keep you on track, they're not as good as a franchise company. And there's a lot of people who come to me and they're like, oh my God, you're in franchising. I've got this great concept. I have 3 units. It's open that works. And, could you help me? And I'm like, no. And they're like, why not? Like, because you're not a franchise company. You're a concept. And I'm not an incubator. There are incubators out there that you can talk to. And once the incubator proves out your concept as a franchisor, boy, you become a lot more attractive to me. And I think that's super important for people to recognize, because it's like any bell curve, right? You got 20% at the bottom, 60 in the middle, they're okay, and 20% at the top. If we can get you to a top performer and show you why they are, then I've done my job.
I love that. Now, I want to go back to something you just said about the concept. So you said you stay away from food. You don't really like food. Is there one that you really tend to enjoy of the concepts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a service brand guy. So I love low investment service brands because I think they're recession resistant. I think less and less people are getting into service businesses, and more people need services. I think baby boomers were the last people to fix anything in their own home. And now that they can't get on a ladder and they have the most money, and their kids are like, Dad, stop doing the gutters. So now, right, they're hiring more white trucks. Then there's my generation. We spend all our time going to our kids' soccer game, yelling at the referee, because that's a full-time job. And then the younger people, they don't really want to fix anything. They're kind of like, hey, it's lifestyle. I want to enjoy my life. So what it's done is created huge demand, elasticity of that demand. There's less people getting into it. And there's really good franchise companies who know how to market to them, who know how to hire the employees and keep them engaged and let them grow in their system and support them. But if I was going to talk about a level 1 franchise, we're not a franchise company at Franchise, but, focal point as far as affecting businesses and coaching, like Stacey said, everybody needs a coach. There's no doubt about it. And if you don't need a coach, then you need a coach to tell you need a coach.
For someone who is just looking or just starting to get this feeling that there's something better for me out there, what kind of time frame would you say that they need and that you need to help get them on the right path?
Yeah, so people who are really engaged in the process take 6 weeks, and it sounds crazy to them, but it's set up the same way it is to get a job. So when you go through an interview process, it's 6 weeks. It's designed that way so that people get to know you and you get to know them and you get comfortable with information. So the first 2 weeks is really a tell. When I see people engage in wanting to meet the franchisor that we suggest, wanting to go through their unit economics and understand the math of the business, wanting to hear their secret sauce, that's usually 3 calls in 2 weeks. They're really on track getting information. And then they can spend a little bit more time in the important part, which is validating. Talk to franchisees, call Stacey, hear what he says that he's doing and how he does it. Hear what he struggled with and hear his suggestion who the next call should be. Oh, you should call Frank in Wisconsin or whoever, right? Because he was a great mentor to me. That validation piece is so important for you to see it in your business, see yourself in that business. And I tell people, listen, I'm not asking you to validate with successful people because I want you to buy a franchise. I'm asking you to validate with successful people because they have figured it out, and you have to figure out if you can do what they do. And if you look in the mirror and you can't do what they do, or you're not willing to do what they do, now you know this isn't for me. Mm-hmm. Let's retrace our steps and look for something different.
Awesome. Yeah. Yep. It was the validation piece is so important. And I think based on the recommendations that I had, I went to, I want to say it was 3 discovery days in 3 completely different industries. And the concepts were all good, but because I had a choice, this was a much better fit for me, and it kind of matched my passion a lot better. But I didn't want to pigeonhole myself into just what I had been doing. I wanted to expand possibilities. So I think that's another great aspect that a consultant can bring is the kind of things that I told Andy were culture in a company I was looking for. I liked an emerging brand because I do like helping to grow a brand and helping just helping the overall company. I wanted, return on investment, home base. There was about 6 or 7 things that were really important to me. And he came back with about a half a dozen in different industries that all pretty much matched what I was looking for. And then from that point, it was kind of just doing the due diligence and everything, and then looking inward in myself and determining where am I going to be happy and which one of these is going to make me happy. But the process for me, I think that 6 weeks is about right. And there were some other things. So when somebody's coming in you and they're thinking, well, this would be great, but I don't know how I would secure the financing. Do you have financing partners or people that can help guide them through that part too?
Stacey, good question. Thank you.
Good question. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've got some great partners that are in franchising that's what they've mastered, right? So companies like Benetrend and Fran Fund, they do it all day, every day. And, I'm not a financing person. I don't go get you your loan, but I hand people off to them in the process and say, you need to understand how your money works, right? You can use your 401k and not pay taxes or penalties because you're rolling it into a business. But you should figure out how that works and what fees you will pay, right? Because that's a great asset to use. Or you could use equity in your home. You could use equity in your stocks. So I explain it very high level. And then I say, now let's get you some details to see, which is the right one for you. And it's interesting, a lot of people end up doing 401k rollovers because the government has set it up really for us to be able to use money that we have. And most people have money in 2 assets, their house and their 401k. But whenever I say it, my wife seems to be outside my door and it's like nails on a chalkboard. She's like, why would you tell someone to do that? And it reminds me that we're so programmed all of our life. It goes back to repacking your lunchbox. I'm not telling you to take it out and spend it and pay the taxes and the penalty. That's a terrible idea, right? I'm telling you that there are instruments that will help you use this more effectively. And you have to learn about those instruments again to see if it's right for you. And there's a lot of benefits to being a business owner that people don't know until they start turning the rocks over. They react. My accountant told me I can't do that. It's like, well, you need a new accountant because you can do that. You might not want to do that. You can do that, Yeah. And so we go through some of these things that are real challenges, My father-in-law's my accountant. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. It's hard, right? Because again, we're repacking their lunchbox all the time with new information. I'm not telling you to do this, but let me tell you how wealthy people look at money. I
it's
just say that
just
every
another
day.
option. Yeah.
Warren Buffett pays himself $175,000 a year. So he pays taxes, what, $30,000, $40,000 a year? And he's one of the richest people in the world. He keeps saying, I don't take income. I build equity, and equity pays for my life, right? And that's how he says it over and over and over and over again. And I try to repeat that to people on a smaller scale, and they think that's not accessible to them. And I'm like, no, it is. Like, this is really important to understand your wealth building instruments. Just because a job didn't provide that doesn't mean you can't get it. And I say it all the time. I'm like, listen, I know you make a lot of money. You make 300, 400 grand. That's great. But that's a dime for a dollar. If you made a dime, the company made a dollar. And if you own the business, you can own the dime and the dollar. And that's really where you want to be.
Also, and not to go too, I won't get this show's sideways too much, but Thursday, Coach, we're diving into this one a little bit deeper too. But also, to really go deeper on Patrick's point, y'all, you got to understand money. Everything you've learned about money is probably a lie. And you really need to learn what the big guys like Patrick is talking about, and what they do and how they use it, because it's way different than what you're probably using it now. But just to give the idea or really drive it home is, it's like saving right now, inflation, your money in your bank account is actually worth less. You might look the same number, but it's worth less. And it's just like a kid buying brand new shoes that he's holding on to at 5 years old, and he keeps them in a box. And by the time he's 6, he outgrew them and they don't work anymore. Like you got to use it when you have it. Don't let it wither away from you.
And DJ, I don't want people to think that they're being lied to. I'm not the conspiracy guy, and I don't think it's intentional. But I don't
think it's intentional.
The plan
they just don't know.
Get everybody an education, get everybody to save, get everyone to buy a house, get everyone to get a job. And that's the safe play. And certainly that is. But isn't it
Absolutely.
fun to learn about what the 1% is doing? Isn't it just interesting to hear how they do it? And then, boy, I can apply that today. I have a guy, good buddy of mine. He wanted to buy a business. And he's like, oh, my biggest problem is I can't find good people. And I said, I'll find someone for you. And I found 3 kids. They're all in college. And I said, hey, man, I'm going to talk you out of college now. And they're like, what? I'm like, I'm going to talk you out of college. But I know your parents. And I told your parents already, I'm going to talk you out of college. So here's the situation. I want you to partner with someone, learn a trade, work, build their business side by side, become his GM, and then get equity and buy him out. So you'll own a business by the time you're 30, 10 years from now, and you'll have equity at play. You'll have income at play, and you won't be beholden to the man. And I'm telling you that because I know you hate school. I know you feel like you had to go because the world told you have to. And I'm just another voice telling you not to. Now, my kids go to college, and I tell them all the time, listen, if you guys go to college and you work for someone else the rest of your life, I won't be happy. I want you to have experience, but I also want you to control your destiny. I want you to bet on yourself. I don't care if you failed 3 times in a business. I don't think they will, but I want you to go for it. I want you to learn from it, because every time you do that, it's amazing. 80% of the people I talk to who have a job say, I want to buy a business, but only 5% go forward with it because they're so fearful of what that is. Now, of those 5, let's say, the failure rate is whatever. Most of those people, whether they succeed or fail, still own another business. They don't go back to corporate. That's not what happens, right? They're like, all right.
Once you get the taste of the freedom, it doesn't matter if you fail. It's like, do I want to do that again? No, I don't want to do that. I'll just keep trying this thing until it works. I mean, that's life. If you fell as a kid, and the first time you fell, you didn't want to get back up because it hurt too bad. You wouldn't walk. We wouldn't walk.
No doubt.
Just get back up and keep going.
And the best thing I get is I get texts from people like, hey, man, I'm 55 and I haven't leaped out of bed and ran to work in 25 years. Thank you. Like the emotional satisfaction of being dependent on yourself, learning and growing, facing challenges. The book I send people after they buy a business is always Dr. Seuss's Oh, the Places You Will Go. And people think I'm giving it to them for their kids. I'm like, dude, this ain't for your kids. This is for you. This is when you have a bad day, take 10 minutes and read this book, and you'll realize that's just the journey. This is the journey of a business owner. Good days, bad days. Sometimes I feel alone, but at the end, I'm going to move mountains.
And back to the young folks who, the whole, I'll go to college, I'll come out $100,000 in debt with no guarantee of a job and jobs being scarce. And nobody calls that taking a risk. But you invest that same 100 in a business, you're going to learn so much more and so much more valuable. And even if it fails at 100,000 investment, I still think you come out with an education that's worth far more than what you learn in most degrees.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right, and that's the way people need. But I think even deeper than that. I mean, Patrick, you nailed it with the idea of the corporate America and it's changed from the way it was and those kind of things. Schooling's the same. There's certain professions that you do still get an ROI, and Gary Vee is big on this. But
doctor,
you do
lawyer,
a doctor, lawyer. The ones that you need that actually you get out, you automatically there. You're getting paid. Like, yeah, go to school. Like you should. But just to waste a bunch of time to get an art degree or literature or journalism or this or that to then go sell and I mean, I've sat with so many people in sales that I'm like, I've been selling for 15 years and you went to school and wasted you're still doing what I'm doing. Like that's not.
I ask people
you wasted that time.
If you said the most capable people go to Harvard, just pick a school, Stanford, I don't care wherever it is. So I've got 2 people, they both get into Harvard, and one says, I'm going to Harvard, and the other says, I'm going to go start a business on my own. They're willing to bet on themselves. So you got 2 of the smartest, most capable people, and one bets on themselves and one bets on Harvard. Who do you want to be with 4 years from now?
So I mean, I would be with the business, but I will tell you, it really depends on the Harvard. Why is he going to Harvard, and what is he going?
If you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, you should go to Harvard. If you're going to be a banker, you should go to Harvard. right?
Yeah.
But if you have a good idea and you want to bet on yourself, man, do I want to get on that journey with you, because you're probably unstoppable. It's like people say to me all the time, like about Chick-fil-A, they're like, oh my God, they have the greatest system. I go, they do. They also have the greatest franchisees because they pick like 1 out of 10,000 people. So if those people did anything else, they'd be just as successful, right? Because they're really focused in on finding the right partners. And that is part of franchising too. Like at Focal Point, they put you through the ringer, right? They test you. They want to know how well you speak and how well you're coachable and all those things, right? And they give you that disc and say, here's your strengths and weaknesses. And if you're off the charts and you're not good at it, they say, hey, not for nothing, Stace, but I don't think this is a good fit for you. But if you are, now they tap into it, right? And good franchise companies are really looking for great partners like Chick-fil-A and like Focal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We went through the paces. We did the assessment through Zoracle, which was quite insightful, and and that helped. That was part of the decision-making process for me. Not that the other choices in the other industries were necessarily bad, but I don't think they were being as diligent in making sure that they and I were the good fit.
Yeah, and that meant something to you, right? I mean, that they cared whether you are going to work out, right? And it makes sense for them. Guess what? You're a lot less expensive when you're good at it, right? Because as a franchise, I got to give you support, and all my support goes to my bottom 20%, right? And my bottom 20% is really good. We're better franchise.
Yeah. Coach, you got any more questions before it looks like we're coming close to time? So.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at the clock myself. I think the big thing we need to do for our audience is just figure out how we can connect. We can make this connection. We talk about connecting, and as Robinhood Capitalists, what our goal is here is to bring the rich ideas and share them with the masses. And this has been really good. And I think this should be very, very helpful for our audience. And so I just want to make sure we get them connected to find the resources they need.
Absolutely. Patrick, where can they find you? How can they reach out to you? What advice and I guess any final thoughts? And thank you.
I'm a love them harder kind of guy, man. Anybody texts me at 610-551-9619, you're going to hear a response back, man. Come right at me.
I love it.
Email me. You can get LinkedIn. I always want people to read the reviews on LinkedIn because I think that's important to know what I do. Follow me on LinkedIn. I put a post out almost every week, just trying to inspire people to think differently and repack their lunchbox. And don't be afraid of yourself. You can do it.
I'm gonna pinch that line of repack my lunchbox. So I like that.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. Yeah, Coach. I was thinking the same thing, man. That is money. Repack your lunchbox, y'all. And that's life. Listen, I like to, again, everybody knows. I think with me, my imagination, I was blessed somehow with this idea to still live in fantasy world a little bit, and so to just play this game and think of game as life as a game, and we're just this avatar, and if we surround ourselves with the right people and we're choosy, so not even finding your next business or find your partner, treated just like Patrick just talked about, finding. And really just go back to the easiest saying that there is. If you wouldn't do business with them for 10 years, don't do business with them for a day. And if you just follow that idea, you're going to surround yourself with the right people, whether it's at home, work, all different places that you need the right community to just take you to that next level in this game of life. That's all we're trying to do is have fun in these different levels, pick up skills along the way, repack our lunchbox, because I was loving that line. But that's literally all we're doing is trying to help each other. And Patrick, thank you, because you really are. And guys, if you aren't following him now, we'll share every way to connect with him. But on LinkedIn, he really does. He shares a message, 2-time cancer survivor. This guy knows how valuable time is. And when you're facing something like that, again, most people don't even like to talk about death, and they never even face death. But actually facing it and then getting through that journey, it's kind of like failing that first business, unfortunately. I think they're not too far off the same. And once you can get through that hardship, you realize it doesn't kill you. And what doesn't kill you just makes you stronger. And that's the goal. We need people around us to remind us that, hey, that tried to take you out, man, but it didn't take you. And you're still good and you're still strong. And like Patrick said, believe in yourself. Just trust yourself. If you're out there, like Coach said, and you're feeling like there is something more for me, this hamster wheel sucks. I don't like being stuck on in the rat race anymore. I don't like it there anymore. This is this hamster wheel and this map that this other island sounds kind of fun with all these crazy mountains. Reach out to Patrick, reach out to Coach Stacey, reach out to coaches, reach out to somebody. Like Patrick said, reach out to a coach that tells you need a coach. But there's your first coach is already telling you, that inside voice is telling you, hey, there's something more. I want something more. I need something more. Listen to it. I promise it's not going to lie to you. Patrick, any final thoughts? Again, thank you for all of this. Thank you for your time. This was amazing. Like Coach said, I can't wait to break this down, Coach, on Thursday. I'm sure you got some whiteboard ideas, and I really think we can have some fun with this. So for anybody watching this, and Patrick, we do break this down on Thursday, so we will kind of dive deeper. Me and Coach like to take a very deep dive into it, and you gave us some really deep things to go into, so thank you for that.
Yeah, the last thing I want to leave everybody with is something my uncle taught me a long time ago. And he just said, hey, it all comes down to this. Love them all. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, love them all. Good, bad, different people you think wronged you, people you think righted you, love them all. And if you do, then you'll start to love yourself for being stronger. You'll love yourself for, hey, I'm okay even though things didn't work out with this person because I still love them anyway. And in business, I find it works all the time. Is that every day when I meet somebody new and I'm working with them and I'm loving them harder and I'm helping them through, no matter where we started, if I always have faith in them because I have strong love for myself, I find that I can help people. And if you have that mantra, I am not the smartest guy in the room, but I know that that's always what gets me through to the other side to be successful. So pretty simple.
Awesome.
Amen. Love them all, y'all. Until next time, until Thursday. Love them
Cheers,
all.
guys. Thanks for having me.
Feed the good with y'all.
See you Thursday.
I'm always on the red eye. This time around, it's not even about getting paid. I'm just